you are going to need to do the first task of an entrepreneur, and that is put yourself out there. And so it's talking to people and say, listen, I'm looking for a business partner. This is a bit about what the role will entail. This is a bit about my business. Do you know anybody? Do you maybe know somebody that you would intro me, and I'll reach out to them? And I think for some people that's scary as well, but 65% of businesses are going to fail because of issues between the founders. And if people are not being intentional with that relationship, you actually on a daily, weekly, monthly, annually basis have to sit down and go, how are we?
Oh my God, it sounds like a marriage.
It is. Oh, completely. The only difference in a marriage,
sex. Just kidding.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely no business partners with benefits. That's lesson number one. Absolutely.
Do you have a poor woman's what something that you ate that takes you back to those days?
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be chicken with cream of mushroom soup, with a can of cream of mushroom soup, and like really like white bread, like super thick, puffy, filled with chemicals, like not like just thick white toast bread with to dip in the cream of mushroom soup with your chicken. That for sure would be something.
So you're laid up in bed, your husband's like, honey, what can I make for you? And you're like, I need the chicken with cream of mushroom,
Yeah,
please.
exactly.
The really bad bread.
Exactly. That's totally it.
I love it.
At some point, you're not going to have all your ducks in a row. At some point, you got to jump off the cliff, and you're not going to know what's at the bottom. You're going to pull your parachute, and it may or may not be there. And you need to understand that you will never know exactly the next step in front of you. And I think for a lot of people, even just their core personality is not set for that environment. I actually very much flourish. I seek that environment out. So I know that I'm already built internally in that way. But at the same time, I've also had experience under my belt, and I understand that you'll never know everything, and you just have to go for it. And I think that is what separates the entrepreneur from someone who stays in, say, a corporate job, is they get to the point where the security is no longer there, and they have to make that decision. Do I continue, or do I stop? I start to get calls from people saying, listen, could I have you come and speak about being a woman in tech? And I remember the very first time I was asked that, and I thought that was a very odd question, because I had never thought about myself in that world as a woman. Like, it never was a major component that I considered. I actually saw it as ways of being an advantage at times, actually. And I think it was interesting co-founding a business with a male and two, like a male female. We actually took advantage of that. We learned about human personality, and we started to identify that there was people who were sometimes more comfortable around men or more comfortable around women. It was a small element, and when it was utilized, it was to our advantage. Why did they teach us this in school? Why were we not taught some of this stuff that's just very common sense, and not even just about the actual knowledge of running a business, but also the mentality that's required within it? Really setting you up to understand that it's not easy, but honestly, we really felt our way through everything. There was a shift in technology. We were really learning. The tech scene was not very mature yet. So this was a time when it was $50,000 if you wanted to build a website. Now you can do it with free on Wix, right? So it was a very different time, and we had to be very strategic on the capital that we had and really anticipate what we were doing. And it was a trial and error in so many ways. So I grew up in a family of salespeople. I guess that was the start of it. My dad had a very successful business, which started off as a door-to-door vacuum cleaner sales in the 70s. So
Okay.
that's kind of where we start off with. So my dad would really use that as a framework for how he raised me. So for example, he always said to me, Tanis, everything is a numbers game. You just work hard and eventually you'll succeed. And I took that to heart, and I think it actually gave me a set of confidence that I could succeed in whatever I put my hand to.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast, and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.